That Friday night, I met my classmates at a house party. There was always a mix of soda, beer, and other stuff. In the past, I was known as the soda drinker. But that night, I reached for my first beer. I drank my first beer, and I didn't set liquor down for 25 years. It was a very long drunk. For 25 years, I let the bullying control my life by drowning it with alcohol. During that 25-year period, there were broken marriages, loss of employment, anger, rage, and lots of fear. At the age of 42, I finally stopped drinking, but only with help and support and professional counseling. During the years of counseling, I spoke of being molested by the coach. As I worked through the process, I heard of a classmate who passed away as a result of abusive drinking. The moment I heard his name, I knew the coach had abused him. This was the same boy I saw him back with in the 9th grade, when I was too young to put things together. I began to think of the times I saw them together while we were young, and I knew without a doubt what that boy had went through. At the next counseling session, I spoke of this incident. My counselor asked me how I felt and what action I wanted to take. I remember clearly stating, I must finally speak to the authorities and see if this man can be stopped. The counselor explained all the challenges and obstacles I would face. I told him under no terms would I back away. I was going forward. I was empowered by two things: the loss of my classmate and the belief this man was still bullying and abusing children. I took this one step at a time. I'll give you an idea of what I faced. I went to the police department and spoke to a high school friend of mine who was on the force. I was completely embarrassed to tell him my story, but the conversation still needed to take place. He was not only a friend, but a high school basketball teammate, so he remembered the day I turned in my high school uniform. After recounting the events, his response was very caring. He said, "Many of us wondered why after all those years you quit the team." He set an appointment where I met with several detectives from the department. I thought it would be a simple conversation, but it was much more. The conversation was videotaped. I was questioned over and over again. I believe they were testing my truthfulness. A short time later, the authorities contacted the coach and told him they needed to speak with him. He agreed to meet with the detectives. Narcissistic. During the meeting, he denied everything. The detectives contacted me and asked if I was willing to proceed. They explained in detail how the process would work. They informed me of many difficulties I would face. I may be called a liar. With a history of alcohol abuse, my character would be in question. My family and classmates would be interviewed. My name would be in the face of the news and for all the public to see. I told the detectives, I understand, but I have to stop this man from ever hurting another child. The detectives decided they needed to have an audio tape of a live conversation. I went to the police department and made a recorded phone call to the coach. My job was to get him to discuss the incidences, which he did. Then the detectives wanted me to meet him face to face. That was tough, but I agreed. I was wired with a portable tape recorder hidden under my clothes and driven to the man's residence. This was the only place he was willing to meet me. The police parked around the corner and waited as they listened. I was so nervous to knock on his door. We sat across from each other in his home as he explained his actions when he was abusing me for years. He acted like nothing was wrong and displayed no feeling of remorse. He said he didn't realize he hurt me or understood the damage he caused. He admitted having some contact with a few other boys, one being my friend who passed away. After the meeting, I left his home and rejoined the detectives. We went back to the police department where they compiled all the information and presented it to the district attorney's office. The district attorney moved forward by pressing charges against the man. He was arrested and detained. Because he was a successful basketball coach, the story was headlines on TV and the newspapers and on radio. Luckily, my name was held anonymous but my history was not. Everyone who knew me put it all together. I was described as a drunk, even though at that time I was 9 years sober, had broken marriages, and was called a liar. The tape conversations again denied. After a year of depositions, he was arrested. During his court trial, the Supreme Court voted and decided the statute of limitations applied. He was set free. He won. And I felt so defeated. But this is not the end either. The California State Department of Education contacted me because they wanted to pursue their own case against the coach. They asked me to release the court documents to them. I signed the papers. They required me to have a psychiatric evaluation in case I was called to testify. This time my name would not be protected from the public and I would need to testify. There would be TV cameras outside the courthouse making it all very public. Without a reservation, I decided to go forward. The man continued to deny the allegations. The court date was set in Sacramento. I continued to confirm, and I would be there to testify. However, on the day scheduled to be in court, it was called off. His attorney notified us he decided to surrender his teaching credentials instead of going to trial. This was my victory. He would never be employed in his school again. The safety of school children was now in place. This ordeal was painful beyond explanation, but not as painful as holding in the secret.